The morning fog clung to the naval training field like a living thing, swallowing sound, muting footsteps, and turning every silhouette into a ghost. Alarms wailed across the compound as recruits scrambled into position for the surprise chemical defense drill, their breath sharp and nervous beneath their masks. In the middle of the chaos, a lone figure stood completely still, a small-framed rookie, visor down, boots planted, refusing to flinch even as shouts erupted around her. One stressed soldier, shaking with adrenaline and overconfidence, sprinted toward her with the decontamination sprayer strapped to his chest. He didn't ask questions, didn't check identity, didn't wait for orders. He simply saw someone out of place, panicked, and blasted her with a full-pressure spray. Foam exploded across her suit, dripping from her helmet as recruits behind him snickered, elbowed each other, and muttered, "Newbies, man." They never get it, but the figure didn't react, not a jump, not a curse, not a single step back. Instead, she reached up slowly, deliberately, taking hold of her helmet's lock. The laughter faded, the fog seemed to pause. When she lifted the visor, the eyes staring back at them weren't rookie eyes. They were calm, dangerous, and unmistakably authoritative, the kind of eyes that had seen battles the rest of them only read about. One by one, the recruits straightened as a strange, heavy stillness rolled across the field. The soldier who sprayed her felt his stomach drop. He had no idea who he had just drenched, until she spoke. Her voice cut through the alarms like a blade. "Soldier," she said quietly, power coiled in every syllable, "I'm your new Admiral." In that instant, every joke died. Boots snapped together. Officers rushed forward, but she raised one hand and the entire basey hundreds of soldiers froze at the gesture. The narrator's voice rises. This was no prank, no humiliation stunt, no accident to laugh about later. This moment marked the day the entire Special Operations base learned a lesson in respect, discipline, and humility that would be told for years. They'd been warned a high-ranking strategist was arriving for inspection, but no one expected her. The combat legend transferred under classified orders. The woman whispered about in war rooms, the officer who had outplanned, outthought, and outsurvived every enemy placed in her path. Now she stood before them, drenched in their own training foam, and none of them knew whether to breathe, speak, or simply disappear into the fog. The routine drill was over. The real test had just begun. The training field fell into a suffocating silence as the new Admiral stepped forward, foam still sliding off her uniform like melting armor. The soldier who sprayed her tried to shrink into the fog, but her eyes locked on him with the precision of a laser-guided missile. She didn't yell, she didn't scold. Instead, she asked calmly, "What is the first rule of engagement in unfamiliar environments?" He swallowed hard, unable to speak. She reached down, picked up the fallen sprayer nozzle, and handed it back to him without breaking eye contact. "Identify your target. Confirm your orders. Control your adrenaline." Every recruit felt those words slice through them like steel. She wasn't angry. She was demonstrating something far more terrifying, absolute command through controlled authority. As she turned toward the rest of the unit, the fog shifted behind her like it feared brushing against her presence. No one dared move. The Admiral ordered the entire platoon to assemble, forming a tight circle around her. They expected punishment drills or angry lectures, but instead, she analyzed the scenario like a battlefield commander dissecting a live mission. She replayed every movement. Who reacted first, who froze, who panicked, who followed procedures, who ignored them. Her mind processed the chaos with frightening speed. One by one, she pointed out strengths without mocking weaknesses, exposing errors without crushing morale. The recruits weren't sure whether to respect her or fear her, until she revealed something that stunned them all. "I didn't come here to intimidate you," she said, wiping the last of the foam from her sleeve. I came to evaluate who has the mindset to survive under real chemical attack conditions. Suddenly, the drill wasn't a drill anymore. It was a window into the brutal realism she operated in, a world far beyond their training manuals. She led the entire unit toward the hangars, her boots striking the concrete with quiet confidence. Inside, she activated a holographic battlefield simulator showing footage from her previous classified operations. Explosive shockwaves, chemical detonations, collapsing structures. The recruits watched scenes they had only heard whispered in rumors. "This," she said, "is what hesitation costs. This is what unchecked arrogance risks. This is what misidentification destroys." The soldier who sprayed her stood frozen, realizing how close he came to embarrassing not a rookie, but a war strategist responsible for saving thousands. Instead of humiliating him, she placed a hand on his shoulder. "What matters is not the mistake," she told him, "but who you become after it." Her tone carried weight, not softness, the kind of weight that forged soldiers. Some recruits felt their entire mindset shift in seconds, as if someone had flipped a switch inside their spine. The Admiral then shocked everyone again. She ordered the same soldier to lead the next drill, with her standing directly beside him. The recruits gasped. No one leads an exercise next to an Admiral. But she insisted. "Pressure reveals truth," she said. When the alarms blared again, he didn't crumble. He didn't rush blindly. He barked clear commands, checked identities, confirmed roles, and positioned his team with precision. The Admiral watched him like a hawk but didn't intervene, and for the first time, the platoon moved like a real combat-ready unit. When the simulation ended, she nodded once. Not a dramatic gesture, but enough to send a ripple of pride through the group. The soldier who once panicked now led with control, and the recruits realized this wasn't punishment, it was transformation, and she had crafted it in minutes. When the final drill wrapped up, the Admiral walked to the center of the field as the sun cut through the fog, turning the air golden. She addressed them not as a commander towering over them, but as someone investing in their survival. "You will inherit a world darker than any training scenario," she said. "Your discipline will decide who makes it home." Her voice carried a weight that felt carved from experience, sacrifices she didn't need to list for them to understand. Then she turned to the soldier who sprayed her and extended her hand. He hesitated, then shook it with both respect and disbelief. "You made a mistake," she said, "but you grew faster than most do in months." The platoon straightened unconsciously. This wasn't just a new Admiral. This was a force, a mentor, a battlefield mind disguised in a humble frame. And they would never forget the day she arrived. The fog finally lifted from the training field as the Admiral stepped back, giving the platoon one last look, the kind that brands itself into your memory whether you want it to or not. The recruits stood straighter than they had all morning, not because they were scared, but because something inside them had shifted. They had arrived expecting another routine drill, another checklist, another day of going through motions. Instead, they witnessed a masterclass in leadership disguised inside a moment of chaos. One soldier's mistake had turned into the sharpest lesson of their careers, and the woman they mocked as a rookie had revealed herself to be the sharpest mind in the entire base. As she walked toward the command building, every pair of boots snapped together in a unified salute, not out of obligation, but out of genuine respect. The soldier who sprayed her held his salute the longest, knowing he would carry this day with him for the rest of his service. The Admiral paused, glanced back, and gave the smallest nod, an acknowledgement, a closure, a promise that this was only the beginning. The recruits realized they weren't just welcoming a new commander. They were witnessing the rise of a legend whose presence would reshape the entire base. And long after the fog dissolved and the field returned to silence, one truth echoed through every hallway: no one would ever underestimate her again.